Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl, and today we're going to look at 6 questions that you need to ask yourself if you don't feel confident speaking in English, if you're feeling a bit embarrassed to talk in English, if you feel a fear every time you have to speak in English. These 6 questions are going to help boost your confidence and allow you to be able to have those conversations that you've always wanted to have. Let's take it away.
So the first question that I put there was, what do you need English for? What are your goals with the language? Like, do you need to be perfect in the language? Um, or do you need to communicate, to get your message across, to be able to watch a film and read a book and enjoy it? Um, what is your goal? If you're using it for work, if you're a teacher, do you need to know all the words in the English language? Or do your students have a higher level than you? And are they going to be correcting you on your language abilities? No. Um, do you work in in an office? Do you work in where an office where everyone else is an English native speaker, or do you live in a country where everyone else is an English native speaker? Um, think about why you need the language. What are your goals with the language? What are you using it for? Because I would imagine with 99% of you, or with all of you really, um, you're using the language because you need to communicate ideas, no? That the language is a tool for you to get your message across and to uh, enjoy different cultures and ideas and things in a different language, no? So that's the first question that I want you guys to think about. Um, and that kind of leads on to what we're talking about in question two. Um, I know some of you can be perfectionist and like, I can't make a mistake in English. But I'm telling you, and I know this from me as well, nobody's that interested in your mistakes, no? Unless you're like an examiner for an exam, for a Cambridge or an IELTS exam. Nobody really cares that much about your mistakes at your level because you guys make minimal mistakes, no? Um, People are more interested in what you have to say than the mistakes you're making, you know? As humans, we're naturally always thinking about ourselves, aren't we? So we're always thinking about, I like, oh my God, what do they think of me? Um, all the time. So I can guarantee that the other person you're talking to is not thinking like, "Oh God, her English is terrible." They're probably thinking about something about themselves, like, "Oh God, do I look fat in this today?" you know. So I want you to try and get into the mindset of not worrying too much about what other people think. Um, if you do happen to make a mistake, they probably won't even notice. No? And if you did make the mistake, so if you're talking to a native speaker and you make a mistake and they say something to you about that, then really they're a bit of a dick, really. Pardon my French. Um, like if you happen to be talking to someone in another language, and that person doesn't speak your language, so you're speaking in another language to communicate with them, and they're correcting you, uh, then that says more about them than it does about you. Um, I like to think of your language ability. You have so rather than comparing your your L1 language and your LL2 language, you're like, well, in my own language, my level is here, but in English, my level is here, somewhere just below. No, so rather than kind of comparing it in that way, in that this is higher than this, think about it in this way. Like, this is my L1 language. And look about this above. Look at all this extra language I've got here. Uh, this is my English language. And then maybe I've got a bit of French. I can put that up here. And maybe I've got a bit of another language. I can put it up here. Like, think of your um, language abilities in your second language or third language as an addition to what you already have, not as something to compare. Yeah? Um, and I think that's a way to make you kind of, or at least for me, it makes me feel much more positive and confident about like, hell yeah, I'm awesome. Like I can do this in another language, and I'm doing this because you like the other person can't. So yes, as I said, if they are being mean about your level, then they're an arse and probably someone you know don't want to be communicating with anyway. No. Um. Next one. This is for all the people who are like, ah, I'm so terrible in English. I can't do anything. I'm terrible. I can't even say a sentence. No. Make a list of all the things you're able to do in English. Bear in mind we're on week 4 of the course, and every single week we're reading a book, we're listening to podcasts, we're reading articles, we're watching films and movies and TED Talks and clips, all in English. And you guys are managing perfectly well with that. Um, you're communicating with each other, with people from all around the world, and you're able to have high level conversations in your common language of English, talking about kind of deep issues all the time. No? So make a list of everything you can do in English. So you can go down to like, I can order food in a restaurant, I can buy a plane ticket. And now make a list of anything you can't do. I doubt there's very much, if anything, on that list that you can't do. Maybe it's understand Scottish comedians with very strong accents, from last week. Um, but I imagine it's very small, this list, compared to everything you can do. So don't be focusing on this one or two things that we can't do. Look at all the things you can do. No? Um, and the last one, do you know any native speakers who can speak your language better than you can, or to the same level? So do you know any native English speakers who have a C1 or a C2 level in your language? I doubt it. No? Or there's like one in a million. No? Like I know in Tenerife, there's a lot of English expats who live here, who've been living here for 20 years, and they don't speak a word of Spanish. No, where they know mm, like hello, goodbye, and thank you, and where is the toilet? No, the bill, please. And that would be it. So think about it that way, that you are able to communicate to an extremely high level of English. This is our addition to our own language. No, this is not our comparison to our own language. You are able to do this to help out someone who can't speak your language, no? Or to communicate with people from all over the world. And this is something really awesome. So next time you have those kind of negative self-talk, I've forgotten the word. Look at me, a native speaker forgetting the word. Next time you have this negative language, this negative self-talk, that's my word, this negative self-talk in your head, kind of try and think of all these things that, you know, English is your addition to your language. English is something that you are able to do so many things in. So, you know, you're using this as a tool to communicate, to enjoy life. Um, and yeah, it's not something to beat yourself up about if you make a tiny little mistake. Nobody will really notice. We're all our worst enemies and our worst critics generally with things. So be kind to yourself. Okay. So that is my little motivational chat for this week. Positive self talk. Okay, guys?